My name's Luke, back in the winter of 2019. I was working for a same-day delivery service in rural Ohio. The kind where you pick up packages from various depots and drop them off to homes the same day. Most of the time, I didn't mind the job. It was quiet, independent, and during the winter months, there were fewer people on the roads. That night, it was already past 9 p.m., and I was down to my last few deliveries. The temperature had dropped below freezing, and a thin layer of snow blanketed everything. The kind that softens all sound and makes the world feel distant, like you're moving through a photograph. The final stop on my manifest stood out immediately. The address didn't match any street I recognized, and when I tried to punch it into Google Maps, it didn't autocomplete. Odd, but not impossible. Plenty of rural addresses still don't appear correctly. I copied the GPS coordinates from my delivery app and followed the route. It took me off the main road, through a series of increasingly narrow and poorly maintained side roads, until finally the pavement gave way to gravel. There were no street signs and no houses in sight, just trees, endless skeletal trees, and the soft crunch of snow under my tires. My headlights cut through the fog like a knife, and I began to feel like I had driven off the map completely. About 10 minutes down this forest path, my headlights landed on something unexpected. A house. It looked abandoned. A 2-story wooden structure with crooked shutters hanging from broken hinges. Ivy clung to the outer walls, leafless and dead. In the cold, the roof sagged under the weight of old snow. It wasn't a cabin. It was a real house, the kind you'd expect to find in a town, not in the middle of nowhere. The delivery app dinged. Approaching destination. I triple-checked the address. It matched. My fingers hovered over the screen, debating whether to mark it as undeliverable and drive away. But curiosity got the better of me. Maybe someone really lived here. Maybe it was one of those eccentric off-grid types. I stepped out, grabbed the medium-sized cardboard package from the back, and walked slowly toward the porch. The steps creaked under my boots. Everything smelled old, like wet wood, something and dust that hadn't moved in years. I knocked on the door. Nothing. I knocked again, this time calling out delivery. Then the door creaked open. No one had opened it, at least not that I could see. I stood there in the frigid air, peering into the darkness beyond the doorway. My flashlight cut through the gloom just a few feet, revealing cracked wallpaper, a worn hallway runner, and picture frames with missing photos. That's when I heard it, a voice from deeper in the house. Rough, male, like someone whose throat had been scraped with sandpaper. Come in. I froze. My instincts screamed to get out, but I also didn't want to just leave a package unattended in the snow. I said, "I'll leave the box on the porch, all right?" and set it down gently. That's when I saw the figure at the end of the hallway, just at the edge of my flashlights, reach a tall silhouette, standing completely still. I stepped back. The figure didn't move, but the voice came again, lower this time. "It's been waiting." I turned and ran, not jogged, not slammed the van door shut, threw the gear into reverse, and peeled out of there so fast my tires skidded on the ice. I didn't stop until I hit pavement again and was far enough from that forest to see lights from a town in the distance. Back at my apartment, I tried to find the delivery info. Again, maybe I'd entered the wrong house, but the entire order was gone. Not just delivered, gone. No record of it ever existing. The route wasn't in my history. The GPS coordinates I'd followed now just led to a blank space in the woods. I contacted the delivery support line the next day and explained everything. The rep sounded confused but put me on hold. Then a supervisor came on and asked me to describe the house. After I did, he went quiet for a few seconds and said, "That property burned down in 1998. Fire department couldn't reach it in time. Family of 4 inside, no survivors," I said. "But it's still standing." He just replied, "Not anymore. Haven't been for years. I don't do rural routes anymore. And that night, that house, it still shows up in my dreams, just past the tree line where my headlights end, waiting for me to finish the delivery." This happened in 2017, back when I worked for a popular pizza franchise in a small town in Western Oregon. It was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, and people rarely moved in or out. I'd been delivering there for a couple of years already, and honestly, I thought I'd seen it all. Stoned teens forgetting they ordered food, parents arguing over the bill, the occasional blackout neighborhood. But what I encountered on a certain night that September still rattles around in my head like something unfinished, something not right. We had a regular customer, let's call her Ms. Whitaker. She lived alone in a house way out near the edge of town. You had to take a back road that turned to gravel halfway through, then drive about half a mile into a clearing. Her house was at the end of that path. 1 story, faded green paint, white fence rotted in spots. The porch light was always on, and she always ordered the same thing: large cheese pizza. No contact, no talking, no tip, ever. Most of us drivers didn't like taking her route. Not because of her, really. She was always polite in her silence. But because of the atmosphere, something about the road, the trees that seemed to dense, the air around her house feeling wrong. Like the stillness wasn't just peaceful, it was watching you. Anyway, that night I had her order. It was almost 1 a.m., and I remember the sky was unnaturally dark. No stars, just clouds, hanging low and heavy like wet fabric. The GPS kept cutting in and out on the gravel path, and the headlights flickered once, just once, and then stabilized as I pulled up. I noticed something strange immediately. She was already outside, standing at the end of the driveway, facing the forest. Not the road, not the house, just the woods. She wasn't holding anything. She didn't turn her head when my headlights hit her back. She didn't flinch or react, just stood there, barefoot, in a pale nightgown that moved slightly with the breeze. Her long gray hair hung straight down. I remember thinking she looked more like a mannequin than a person, the kind you'd see in an abandoned department store. I hesitated before getting out. I called out from the car, "Ms. Whitaker, I've got your order." I tried to make my voice sound light, normal. No response. I didn't want to get closer. I couldn't explain it, but something about her posture, that rigid, almost strained stillness, made my skin crawl. Eventually, I stepped out, box in hand, and walked toward the porch, giving her a wide berth. As I reached the steps, she tilted her head slightly, just a fraction, toward the woods, still not acknowledging me. That's when I noticed something else. There were people in the forest. At first, I thought it was just shadows or tricks of light. But as I squinted, I realized there were figures, 3 of them, standing perfectly still between the trees. No flashlights, no movement, just there, watching her, watching me. I dropped the pizza box on the porch, backing away, never turning fully around. I kept my eyes on those figures. My pulse was pounding in my ears. Then one of them, the figure farthest to the left, took a step forward, just one, and stopped. I was already in the car when I heard the door to the house creak open behind me. I glanced in the mirror. Ms. Whitaker was gone. I stared for a few seconds, trying to decide whether to drive away or get out and check. I chose neither. Instead, I called the store and asked if we had any special delivery notes or warnings for her. My manager, Dennis, was quiet for a moment, then said, "You're out at the Whitaker place right now." "Yeah," he sighed. "That house has been empty since 2009. Family died in a fire. Electrical fault, they said. She ordered from us for years before that. Same thing every time. Cheese, pizza, no toppings. Never said a word." I couldn't speak. My throat felt dry. "But if you're seeing her," Dennis said, "just leave the box and go. That's what we all do." I looked back toward the house. The door was closed again, and the figures in the woods gone. I didn't take another route near that end of town again. I started switching shifts, lunch instead of night, busy streets instead of back roads. But a few weeks later, I ran into another driver at the register, a new guy. First month on the job. He was pale, shaking. I asked what was wrong, and he just whispered, "That woman at the end of Birch Hollow. She's not right." I nodded. "She's still facing the woods." He looked at me like I'd just admitted something I wasn't supposed to. "She wasn't," he said. "She was facing me." This happened when I was working for a food delivery service in Chicago in 2018. It was a gig economy kind of job, no face-to-face contact. Just grab the order from the restaurant, drop it off, get back in the car, the usual routine. It was late October, one of those nights where the sky looked bruised and overcast, and the wind had that first real bite of winter in it. I had been driving around for hours, and this one last delivery came in from a Chinese place I'd been to 100 times. The address caught my eye immediately. Apartment 4B, 2191 Eldridge Avenue. I didn't recognize it, but I'd delivered to Eldridge before, mostly low-income apartment buildings, the kind with dim yellow stairwell lighting and broken buzzers. I didn't think much of it, just another job, another $5 tip, if I was lucky. When I arrived, the building looked worse than I remembered. It was a squat, 4-story structure with cracked siding and a bent gate that didn't even latch. The kind of place that felt forgotten, like it belonged to the past. The lights in the hall flickered as I stepped inside. The floor tiles were mismatched, water damaged. It smelled like old radiator heat and faint mildew. I started up the stairs, clutching the brown paper bag that held someone's egg rolls and fried rice. The stairwell echoed with each step, like it was deeper than it should have been. Floors 1 through 3 looked normal, if a little depressing. Faint music behind some doors, muted TV noise, the occasional dog bark. But when I got to the 4th floor, things changed. It was quiet, too quiet, like the floor had been sealed off from the world. There were 3 doors. To my left, 4A, to my right, 4C, and directly across from the stairs, just wall, No 4B. I blinked, pulled out my phone, checked again. Deliver to 4B, 4th floor, 2191 Eldridge. Clear as day. I looked around again. Maybe I missed it. Maybe 4B was behind some weird hallway bend, but no, there was nothing, just that wall. And it didn't look like a recent renovation or remodel. The paint was old. The baseboards were caked with dust, like it had always been a wall. I walked over and pressed my hand against it, solid, but something was off. The wall wasn't flush like the others. It bulged slightly outward, like something was behind it, a hidden space, a sealed-off room. I stood there longer than I probably should have, just staring. Then the hall light above me flickered, not like a casual blink, but a sharp, stuttering pulse, like it was reacting to something. That's when I heard the noise, a whisper, right behind me, but so close, it might as well have been inside my ear. 4B. I spun around. No one was there. My heart was racing. I backed away and decided to knock on 4C instead. Maybe they could tell me where 4B went, or if this was a mistake. A man in his 50s opened the door just a crack and stared at me through the chain. "Sorry to bother you," I said, trying to sound casual. "I've got a delivery for 4B, but he cut me off. There is number 4B. His tone wasn't annoyed. It was final cold. "Are you sure?" I asked. "It's on the app. 4B, 4th floor." He didn't blink, just muttered, "That apartment's been gone a long time," and closed the door without another word. I knocked on for a next, just to be sure. An older woman answered this time. I asked the same question. She gave me a strange look. "4B, you shouldn't say that. That room's not there anymore. It's better that way." Then she, too, shut the door on me. Now I wasn't scared, not yet, just frustrated. I took out my phone again, ready to call support and mark the order as undelayed, and that's when I saw it. The order had been updated. The app screen now read, "Leave order at the door to 4B. Do not knock." Except there was no door. But before I could think through what was happening, something else appeared on my phone. A small gray notification I'd never seen before. Order received. I stared at it. Tip added, $10. A chill ran down. My arms, the bag of food, still in my hands, was gone. I hadn't dropped it. I hadn't set it down, but it wasn't there. I turned slowly toward the wall again. There was a faint smell now, something new in the air, soy sauce, and smoke, like takeout, and something burning underneath. I didn't stick around. I sprinted down the stairs and didn't stop until I hit my car. My hands were shaking as I fumbled with the keys before driving off. I looked back up at the building. One of the windows on the 4th floor, the one directly in the middle, lit up. It had no curtain, and behind the glass, I swear I saw someone thin, motionless, staring down at me. The next day, I went back. I had to. Curiosity, maybe something more. But this time, it was during daylight, mid-afternoon, birds chirping, kids playing across the street. Normal life. I climbed the stairs, heart pounding. Floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, floor 4. Still only 2 doors, 4A and 4C. But the wall looked newer now, like it had been sealed recently. Fresh plaster, mismatched paint. I couldn't help myself. I knocked. Nothing. Then a thump from behind the wall, just once. But that was enough. I turned to leave. But before I could take a single step, A new notification buzzed on my phone. Thanks for coming back. Most people don't. No name, no sender, no return order. I don't deliver in that part of town anymore. And every so often, I'll be driving somewhere totally unrelated, in a different part of the city, and the app glitches. It recenters the map right on 2191 Eldridge. And I always wonder, if I went back, would the door be there this time? And if it was, who would open it? Back in 2019, most of my deliveries were routine. Pizzas, Chinese takeout, fast food. It was the kind of job where you get used to seeing the same addresses over and over again, especially in the suburbs. One address in particular stood out to me, though it was this small, red brick house at the end of a cul-de-sac. Nothing unusual about it, except for how often it ordered, like every night. Always between 10:45 and 11 p.m., and always the same thing, one large pepperoni pizza and a bottle of root beer. That wouldn't have been weird on its own. The porch light was off. I'd ring the bell, and someone ever seen, their face would open the door just a crack and grab the bag without saying a word. No eye contact, no thanks. Just a pale hand in the dark and the soft creak of the door. Then one night, I got sent to the same address, but there was a problem. The system glitched and assigned to drivers the same delivery. Me and this guy named Brent. We both pulled up at the same time, pizza bags in hand, confused as hell. Brent got out first and said, "They probably ordered twice by accident. I'll take it." But I wasn't so sure. We walked up together. I knocked and the door opened before my hand even dropped. This time it was wide open, no one behind it, just Brent called out. Then we heard a voice from inside the house. Not yelling, just, but the words were wrong. It was our voices who ordered pizza, it said in Brent's voice. Then it repeated, mimicking my voice. Large pepperoni and root beer. We were both backing up now, and that's when someone stepped into view from inside the house. It was me. Same hoodie, same delivery bag, same anxious face, but the expression was off. Like someone who had learned how to smile by watching people do it, but didn't understand why. Its mouth stretched a little too wide. Its eyes didn't blink. Then another figure stepped out. Brent. Same thing. A perfect double, with a twitch in its neck, and a weird stiffness, like its joints didn't quite work right. Neither of them spoke. They just stood there, watching us, mimicking us. We sped off without saying a word. The next morning, Brent quit. No notice. Just stopped showing up. His phone was disconnected, and he deleted all his socials. I never took another order to that house. I marked it as unsafe customer in the system. But here's the kicker. The address kept ordering. Same time, same meal, every night, and someone always picked it up, because whenever I checked the app, the order status would change from out for delivery to delivered, even if no one was dispatched. Sometimes I wonder if the house is just practicing little pieces of people, voices, faces, roots, waiting until it knows how to walk among us without being noticed. I used to deliver late-night food orders for a burger joint just outside of Portland. Nothing fancy, mostly drive-through orders, a few DoorDash deliveries here and there. The shifts were long, but the pay was decent, and the roads were quiet after midnight. I liked working alone, and I didn't scare easily, at least. I didn't back then. It was a little after 2 a.m. on a Wednesday when the order came through. a single vanilla shake and a side of onion rings. The pickup location, one of those old roadside diners off Highway 6. The weird part was, the order was made through our system, but for a customer requesting our food delivered to another restaurant. Weirder. Still, the diner had been closed for years. I knew that for a fact. I'd even stopped there once for directions and seen the permanently closed sign duct-taped to the drive-through window. I figured it was a prank. But the app processed the payment, full tip included, and something about it felt serious. Like I was being dared. And maybe I was too tired or too curious to say no. I made the drive. The diner sat beneath a busted neon sign that still blinked. Faint, led just the O in food working, pulsing red like a dying star. The building itself looked hollow, abandoned. But the drive-through intercom light was on. I pulled up slowly. The speaker crackled, then buzzed like it was trying to speak. I leaned in, feeling foolish. That's when I heard it. A voice, soft and breathy. A girl's voice. "You brought it." I hesitated. "Yeah," I said. "Vanilla, shake, and rings." No reply. Then the small sliding window creaked open. No one inside. Just a pale, shaking hand reaching out through the dark. Long, thin fingers. Too many knuckles. I placed the bag and cup into the hand. The moment I did, the intercom emitted a high-pitched screech, loud enough to hurt my ears. I jolted back in the driver's seat, instinctively slamming my window shut. Then I saw her. She wasn't behind the window anymore. She was standing beside my car, pale, thin, wearing a greasy old diner uniform. Her head tilted slightly, as if studying me. Her eyes, they looked all wrong. Not glowing, not monstrous, just dead. Completely empty. I floored it. Didn't stop until I hit the city limits. I parked in a grocery lot and just sat there, shaking. The food delivery app still showed the job as in progress. I tried to cancel it. The app wouldn't let me, no matter how many times I refreshed. It stayed locked until 2:47 a.m. when it marked itself complete. And then a message popped up. No name, no icon, just text. "Thank you. Come again soon." I don't drive nights anymore. I don't deliver at all, actually. But every once in a while, I still get a push notification from the app. Same order, same location, always at 2:47 a.m.